Yo. So, we are making a video. I am making a video for you to watch. And this is a video just of like little divinatory curios in my collection that, I don't know, I felt like looking at. Because I don't think, some of these I've shared before, some of them I haven't. But again, I'm just like, I think people are looking for like easy stuff to watch right now. And I'm kind of looking for easy stuff to make right now. So I just saw something else I've never shown. So we'll start with that. This was a deck that was recommended to me, and I ordered it, and I don't think I looked at it. And it's called the Ashley Cook Tarot, because this is the way that I do. So let's just look at it. Like, why not? Let's do it. Let's make a video where we look at decks. Because the last video, deck video I did was like one of the most watched I've made recently. So I think people want something to relax to. The Ashley Cook Tarot, designed in Scotland in 2018. I actually have no memory of ever looking at this before. It's a collage deck, as you can see. I think this was recommended to me, and again, like, I often will just, someone says you'd like this, I'll be, okay. What's happening? Sorry. The screen will run longer. Oh, okay. Sorry, technology. I may edit that out. Anyway, people will recommend things to me, and I'm like, yeah, why not? I'll buy it. And so, so I bought it. And it's pretty. I don't know why I never used it or looked at it, other than the fact that I have too many decks. It is very Eurocentric, Scotland, right? But, you know, I feel like, again, like, same deal as, you know, always. Like, you know, there are people of color in Scotland. There are disabled people in Scotland, right? So, but that's the same song I'm always singing on this channel. And doesn't really seem to do much. So, anyway, I'm just being self-effacing at the moment. It's quite cool. Other than that, it reminds me a little bit of the Gendron or Gendron deck, which I have mentioned times before and don't like. That was one of my first decks, and it was a very creepy collage. And it's very digital, very sort of squeezed and skewered and, like, weird. And I hated it. Like, sorry, I just hated it. So, anyway, that turned me off from, like, collage decks in general, other than the Voyager, and, like, one other, the Artist's Inner Vision, which I probably should have brought down for this, too. But I actually really like collage decks. I mean, I feel like collage decks are quite democratic in their way, right? Like, anybody can make a collage deck, and it's not AI, right? So, you know, I think in that way, and there is something beneficial about making a deck. Like, I've made a deck, one sort of from scratch, and one that was the what I called the Marseille. Oh God, it's. I did that sort of like more representational Marseille that now I can't remember the name of, and it's on Printer Studio or something. It's on my website. Anyway, so but like you do develop a relationship with tarot differently than you know, during that process. Oh, this my office is insane. Like, it's not cool how not cool it is right now. But here we are. So, I keep saying that. Am I doing anything about it? No. So these are two decks that are Baba Studio. Why did I zoom out? I didn't need to zoom out. We don't zoom out right now. These are two fortune-telling decks from Baba Studio, Mercury's fortune-telling cards. And I actually think Robert Place, I brought out, has... Does he? I thought he did. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, I have so many Robert Place decks. So anyway, Mercury's fortune-telling cards and the the Bohemian fortune-telling cards. And these are, again, they're sort of tarot adjacent. But quite, you know, there's a book, and I didn't bring the book down, but I'm just opening up this little bag. So these are the Mercury's fortune-telling cards. I think the Bohemian ones are the ones that I actually prefer, but I can't remember. Anyway, they're very similar to, like, Sibylla, and I would read them the exact same way. Here's the back, very, very gold. This, of course, has the, you know, touchstone Baba cold stamp, I think they call it. This feels very much like Sibylla. It's just sort of a few different names and a few different, like, concepts, but for the most part, it's essentially a Sibylla deck. I always love reading with these. I don't do it much. Because I'm a tarot reader, you know, and I really enjoy reading tarot, and so I don't really need to go for these things. But when folks ask for it, I find it quite cool, and they're fun. So this really is very much like Sibylla. Based on an antique deck from Lemberg. So that was the Mercury's fortune-telling cards. And I never showed these. I think I mostly pre-ordered them. These were pre-orders, or I don't think they were. Yeah, I think they were pre-orders. I don't think Baba does. Baba does Kickstarter. And then these are the Bohemian fortune-telling cards. And so these have maybe a few extras. Again, they have a little white book, but then there was a larger book that's back on the chaotic bookshelf. Here's the back, which I like this slight, like, edge of deco vibe. Again, these were designed by Karen Mahoney, I think, based on, like, other systems. This feels very much like their signature kind of Bohemian Gothic. So if you have and enjoy that deck, you will recognize this. And again, it's I have a bunch of fortune-telling decks. Maybe not the most interesting fortune-telling decks. They're just the ones that I found. And they are interesting to me. I'm looking here. They're interesting to me. So again, this is maybe a little more like Sibylla plus. Maybe Kipper as well. So it's a little bit more of a thing. But again, I when I read these, I just, like, there's always, like, a system that you're supposed to learn, and for me, the system is the same thing I use for everything, which is, you get 2 death cards. So let's take that one out. And then there was an extra soldier, and I think I didn't leave the male presenting soldier in because soldiers are men. I did it because I thought he was cuter. But I'll, you know, like anything else, I would just do my 9-card normal, you know, story with this, which is a spread that I use for tarot, but that comes from not tarot, from this more cartomantic tradition, like Kipper, like Sibylla. I have a couple Kipper decks I should have brought out, but I feel like I've talked about Kipper and Sibylla decks before, and I haven't really talked about, like, just the sort of more unusual or less familiar fortune-telling decks. So here we get Fortune right in the middle. So, if I were reading this very quickly, obviously this isn't like tarot in that you don't really have much to do. This is actually not a very positive spread, is it? So Fortune, like, good luck. Someone shows up with something good, but then it gets taken away from you. So tough titty there, I guess. And then like, that's pretty clear. This is the soldier, fortune, and money. So what this is really saying is, like, don't rely on gifts, right? Don't rely on, like, illusion of things just coming easily to you, because things that do come easy to you will probably leave just as easily, right? If you want riches, if you want fortune, you've got to put your back into it, as the soldier would do, right? I mean, one thing we can say about soldiers is that they are disciplined, if nothing else. So if we want fortunate money, if we want to have, like, good stuff, we actually really have to work for it. When we operate from a sort of baseline of, like, poor me, and, like, everybody's got it better than me, and, like, I'll eat some worms, we're actually gonna constantly be unhappy. We're gonna constantly be in a mood, right? So now I might read the columns. Things that are given to us rather than worked for tend to retract the evil eye. Jealousy is the thing that makes the evil eye happen, right? So we're like, yeah, gifts are great, lovely, but like a thief in the night, they can come and take your good fortune away, and so the only inevitability really is that that sometimes you'll feel wealthy and sometimes you won't. And that is life right there, my friends. And so there's just a quick example of a reading with a deck like this. Again, these are quite good for much larger spreads, for sort of grand tableaus and whatnot. And you could very easily do a grand tableau with them. I don't read Lenormand very much. I do offer the Grand Tableau. It's the only thing I read with Lenormand, really. And I don't really read Sibylla anymore. I've said this before, like, I really offered different systems for folks who are kind of sick of tarot, but, like, I'm not sick of tarot, and I find it works quite well, so. What do we got? What else we got? Let's stay on, like, fortune-telling decks here. This is a Robert M. Place deck. This is, again, another deck that I might read similarly. These are the Hermes playing cards. Again, another kind of Mercury. Maybe that's where I got the connection from, because Hermes is syncretized with Mercury. It is... The only thing, again, it's sort of, for a Place deck, it's, especially because he self-publishes, unusually glossy. But, it's a playing card deck with, again, like a little insignia that is designed to connect you to interpretation. Very similar to, like, the Maybe Lenormand is what I think of when I think of this. And it's got that vibe. And I have I don't think I brought those down either. The Rachel Pollack and Robert M. Place did... like the Burning Serpent Oracle, which is sort of like an esoteric Lenormand based on Kabbalah. So there's Mercury again. So Mercury and Hermes obviously connected to tarot through Thoth, right? Or Thoth, or however you want to say it. Another sort of historical syncretic connection to that god, that deity, that messenger. And always or frequently associated with divination and tarot, and because Mercury was a messenger. So, makes total sense. So, again, just sort of quite a cool deck, not something I use very much. This I waited for a long time for. I really enjoyed the little mini Mildred Payne Oracle when it came out, and I remember asking Patrick, because we all wanted to know, like, will there ever be a playing card size? And he said, absolutely not. And then many years later, we got a playing card sized one, which is exactly what I wanted. I don't like mini decks. I like the idea of, but I don't know. I like the playing card size for these things. And this has got a lot of cards in it too, because it's sort of a few years worth of expansion packs. And for a minute I was like, do I want to get this? He has another Oracle that I got last year at the Reader's Studio, and I like that one too. I didn't pull it down because I didn't see it on the shelf. But again, this is just sort of one of those things where you could read it the way that you read any other any other playing card deck. It's or a fortune telling deck rather. For me, it's what does the thing do? What is it for? What's its object? What's its objective use? You know what I mean? Like the example I like to use is a heart in Lenormand. We say that's love. Well, that's a cultural context of a heart symbol. But what is a heart? It's a pump. So frequently, that's what I'll reach for first. So, like, I'll look at what the thing really suggests, or what it's for, what it does, or how it behaves. So, you know, I'll just give you an example. Let's, like, shuffle a few. I'm so clumsy. This is because I'm making this video instead of doing other things I should be doing. So, I feel, like, guilty or something. I'm gonna have to stop. Oh, this has gotten warped. That's weird. Again, another thing you can see, I don't use that much. But in this case, I'm not going to do a whole 9 card, but I might do a thing I do a lot on my blog, which is the little arc of 5. That's funny. So I can't necessarily tell you why that's funny. It's just a little personal spiritual moment, but it is amusing to me. So, right, dragon, and then we move out lighthouse and time, and then ladder and trumpet. And I think about what does a dragon do? Dragon, to me, protects things. You know what I mean? I think the dragon in myth is frequently considered a villain, right? But we're often looking at the dragon through, like, the colonizer gaze. You know what I mean? We're looking, like, at the guy who's trying to steal the money. But dragons are protectors, and I think of them as champions. In this case, this is... it's a fun, again, just sometimes readings are funny, you know what I mean? And anyway, what's he protecting? In this case, I think you could argue a few things, right? You could argue he's protecting what's behind him, or he's protecting what's in front of him, what he's looking at. I think the more logical thing is, like, he's protecting this from this, if we're gonna do that. But there's a connection between the dragon and the trumpet for me that makes me say he's not protecting this from this. This is actually the how. And one of them is by shining a light on things and making noise about them, knowing that it may take forever for there to be any upward progress. Very, very funny. For reasons that are very recent, as of, like, this morning. So, again, like, there's a funny, charming, you know what I mean? Charming. I love Divination for that reason, because that was just very, very cool for me. I wish I could explain why. But I guess what I was going to say is you don't need a tarot deck or esoteric thing to come along and get, like, a decent esoteric spiritual reading, I guess. So there's a thing that I've said. All right, I'm going to keep on with the fortune-telling decks. This is not new. This is not indie. This is something I've actually never used. It was the Madame Endora's fortune cards, and there was, like, a minute back when, like, Tarot Tube was getting really big, where, like, one Halloween, everyone was working with this deck or buying this deck, and I, in my FOMO mode, I got it as well. And it's a deck I've never used. I don't even... It looks like I've shuffled it, so maybe I have used it, but I don't quite remember using it. And these actually has a title and then, like, a message on it. So this is fun. I think that one of the reasons why I haven't necessarily, like, enjoyed this one as much as the other ones I've shown is sometimes the messages are so specific, like, and I don't like to use one card, so I'll, like, pull 3 cards and the 3 messages make no sense together. So this might be, like, a good prompt for using additional other fortune telling cards, but I haven't had a whole lot of success doing readings with this. So before this gets crazy, I'm just going to turn this off. This is an interesting one because it's a golem, and I'm curious. Like, I'm sort of curious why it looks the way it does, because a golem is usually made out of clay, not. This looks like armor, but a golem is sort of mythologically someone who does work for you, does sort of a supernatural pal. So, but it's got really cool stuff in it, and the art is quite nice as well. So it's fun. I just don't I don't know. Let me see if I can kind of give you, what I was talking about. Oh, the backs are very cool. Yeah, it's a fun thing. I think there was a moment where I wasn't getting what I wanted to out of tarot, and this was a long time ago. And so I was going to sort of oracle decks, hoping that the lack of structure in them would be freeing. And what I found instead was kind of that I felt like I was on my own and I didn't have any support. So here we have Talisman, Serendipity, the Unicorn. You are destined to succeed. Bright new prospects are on the horizon. Good fortune and friendship. All right, well, those actually do work together pretty well. So, fuck me, The cards are reading me to filth today. Although I hope that first reading, because that was here's a grift. No, it's not. Bye, Felicia. So hopefully I'm having better luck with these last two than that first one. But what that reading said wasn't as much prediction as it was something that's true. These are Deste cards. And again, this was another thing that, I think because of Kelly from The Truth and Story, she was always showing different oracles and different decks and, very into the cartomancy scene. And I loved the idea that, Deste was not sort of the typically European, because it is based principally on Arab culture, if I'm not mistaken. Although it can't be entirely that, because typically, at least in Muslim culture, you wouldn't show the depiction of people, and there are people in this. But it's also got a connection to Greece and the Mediterranean. So it's a bit of a thing. There are reversals in this because it is typical to use reversals, but there wasn't much at the time on how to read them. And again, it's a very specific system, and I just didn't feel like dedicating the time to it, so I didn't dedicate the time to it. But I've got it. Really interesting cardstock. I feel like I honestly felt like I had a copy of this that was the worst cardstock I've ever seen, and this isn't that. So maybe I got rid of that and got this. I have no idea. There are two versions of it apparently, and I honestly, it's been so long, so I honestly can't remember what the differences are. But there's many videos out there now, and because in parts of the world, particularly I think in Greece, it is pretty well known, as I understand it. That's me not being Greek, but listening to what people tell me, which I probably should not do. This is the Witchwood Oracle, which I have used and do like. Not that I don't like the Madame Endora, because she just gave me a really lovely, little fortune-telling moment. So this doesn't come with a little guidebook, but it comes with guide cards, but you don't need them, because this is, again, very Lenormand and Sibylla, Kipper, fortune tellery, right? And these are quite nice, and I love the kind of black and white line drawing of the vibe, and then that back is really nice too. So this is another one where I just sort of say, what is this for? What does this do? How does this behave? And I just let them guide me. There's the heart. What does the heart do? I like that it's a depiction of the human heart, the coronary artery, or not the coronary artery, but because it reminds us it's a pump. It is what keeps us alive. It is circulation, right? So the heart might be love. It can be, but that's, what scholars would call the culture text of the heart, but the heart really is, you know, the thing that keeps us going. And then when I have cards like the Lady, well, I think about, like, what does that mean? You know what I mean? What is the Lady, you know? So maybe this is the boss, the person in control. I often will think of, like, if there's a man and woman or a husband-wife or a lord and lady, like, as partner and partnered. But that's not necessarily a relationship. So this is very cool. Again, like my last video, I don't know if any of these are out of print, but I don't think any of them are. Some of them may be harder to get. Like the Baba ones probably you can't get because they do like a limited print run and that's it. And then for a few years you sort of wait and people sell them for crazy amounts on eBay. But yeah, this is a fun one. It's fun. I like it. These are the kinds of things that I always want to sort of bring out around Halloween. It did come with this little bag. I wish the bag were a little larger because you can't sort of draw it closed. But let's look at a tarot deck just for the hell of it. This is an old one, and I don't have the... Like this... Hi, Llewellyn. Old school Llewellyn. And this I made my boss buy for me in an old job. And it's called the Bright Ideas deck. And true to Llewellyn, it is not in print anymore. God, that looks like Donald Trump, doesn't it? Jesus Christ. I don't remember Mark McElroy maybe was the artist here. Or the creator. I can't remember if he was the artist or creator. This was sort of a deck that was meant to be like for business. You know, for like creative brainstorming. And kind of a tarot that was like secular, I guess. It's funny because I thought it was brilliant, and I actually am looking at it now, and I'm like, yeah, that was a good idea. And actually, it did have some representation in it, which at the time was not happening. I think the only one that was really doing that, at least for Llewellyn, was the World Spirit. This is out of print for sure, but I can't imagine that it goes for that much online if you want. And then the suits had... Yeah, that's right. They had... So they were colored, but they kind of... What he did was sort of non-denominationalized the thing. So like red was fire, but it was actions, desires, like it was fiery stuff. Right. And then there are keywords on them. And then there's the actual number meaning that he assigned to. So like the keyword for this 2 of red is conflict, and the 2 numbers dualities, so you might put those together. All of that said, I never actually used it. But I do think it was a good idea. It was like I don't know. Like I was broke back then, so I convinced my boss that it was like something we needed to do creative brainstorming with. And then, you know, the rare instance got a yes. So that's a cute little tarot curio. And again, I can't really imagine that if you were to look for this used, that it would be very much. It wasn't one of those, like, it's not like the Vittoria Regina, I don't think, or something like that. I don't even know why I'm putting this back in this box, because it's never going to hold together. Let's look at another tarot deck, because it's right here. This is the Pearls of Wisdom deck. Now, there's a few versions of this. This is a deck that I think comes from Make Playing Cards, or Game Crafter. Oh my, chain's all wonky. It's a really vibrant colored deck. Very, 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 you know, saturated with information, right? Very, very info rich. Waitsmith. It's actually also part of a game. And there's a few versions of it. You can get like just the deck, you can get the deck with the game, there's different sizes. So if you do go and look for this, I would just Google the name. You might want to just be careful and look at the artist's creation site so that you know which version you bought. Because I bought the wrong one first, and you can't really return something from a print on demand, so I wound up with 2 copies because I wanted this larger size. I don't think I've used it. but I do like it. I love the intensity of the color, and I've said I like neutral decks, but there are times where something that's this intense is quite exciting and quite charming, and so yeah, it's cool. I don't think I've ever showed this before, or I may have, but like it's been a long time. And it just, again, it reminds me a little bit of that deck I showed last week, the Inner Child cards, but like a little less fairy tale themed. And, slightly more representational. So, yeah, I really like this one. Again, like, this is... Guys, I just have too much stuff, and this is the thing. But I don't... I think of having a lot of decks as, like, having a library, and there are times, because of what I do, where people message me and say, hey, I have a friend who wants to get into this, or I'm thinking of getting into this, what's a deck you recommend? And that's nice, because then I can kind of go and share things that I think they might like. Let's stay with tarot for a little minute. Let's stay with tarot for a minute. This is the new tarot, which is very strange. Oh, where's Endora? Where did she go? I don't know where I put her. Oh, she's right here. So this was an impulse buy on eBay, and it was not very expensive. I think I was thinking it was another deck, though. Which, very like me. Moink. So, new tarot for the Aquarian Age. I think I've showed this. I did an unboxing of this. It's really odd. But, yeah, I mean, that's why I bought it, right? Like, I always say I already have the Waite Smith deck, so I don't need another one. And, in fact, I rarely read with Waite Smith strict up. Although, I think this spring, a couple decks are gonna uncold. So this isn't typical in any way. And some of the the minors are very, very mid. And then the others are quite interesting, but this is not a deck that you could really pick up and read, And honestly, I don't know that I would even want to. Like, I like weird decks, it gives a little of the, oh god. I want to say that it's not the Nap Hall, it's the Sheridan Douglas. It reminds me a little bit of that, but that deck has illustrated and more interesting minors. So, but it's a curio, and that's what this video is about. So, I don't know. I'm not a collector, and so I wanted to see this, but I don't know that this will stay in my collection forever. It's not. It wasn't like a wish list deck. It wasn't like a Holy Grail deck. It was just a deck. Sometimes any deck will do, you know what I mean, baby? So let's put you back here. This is another eBay find, and it was just, I think Farrell Humphrey posted this deck, and I was just curious, because I'm always curious about, like, kits and sets that, were out there, and so this is, there are two versions of this. One of them is quite large, and then there's this one. This was called Tarot Basics, and it was also published under another name. And any version you get has large borders. But I think I just found it kind of naively whimsical and charming. Not unlike myself. And it's a pip deck, too, which is rare for, like, a mass market, is that upside down? Yeah. Like a mass market, not great back, like starter kit, right? And they're not that great. But I did like the kind of painterly, sort of, somewhat childlike courts and trumps. So I thought it would be fun to take a look at in person. Again, this was like $11. This was not. This was not a make or break the bank situation. But it's cool, it reminds me of those things like the Barnes & Noble Tarot, which is also called the John D. Tarot, which I actually really do like, and that little one I showed, the Complete Tarot Kit. I think the one thing that would make this more popular as a bit of a collector's is just these pips could use a little more, flair. I actually sort of wish I had gone and gotten this major, big old doer, as Bob Ross would say, but I didn't. And it's not, you know, like, oh my god, this is the deck, and now I have to go find that version. Like, it's a curio. It's a curio. I almost included a Crowley deck, a Thoth deck that I have that is also a curio, because it's a bootleg, but it's a bootleg because it was printed in a country where you couldn't get the original for, I think, for religious reasons. Is anyway what someone explained to me. Do we want to stay with tarot? I don't even know what this is. This was given to me by a friend, and I looked at it and then forgot about it because so much stuff. Jeu de Tarot. So this is a tarot game, and I can't remember if my friend got this in France or... Oh yeah, I do remember this. Okay, yeah. It is meant to be the game of tarot, and it's not like a tarot for divination. It is a tarot for gameplay. And I think I remember looking at it and thinking, oh right, like this is something I need to kind of look into, and the little like key card is in French, and now I could take a picture of it and have my phone translate it. But so this is tarot as a trick taking game. This is tarot as it was originally sort of designed to be played, and so I like that too. I have another one that another friend sent me, which is similar. And again, it's just, you know, these are little things. I have a dream of like one day having a shop with like a divination museum. I'm never going to do that because I'm not a business person, you know, and I'm not a disciplined enough person to be like a collector, but I do sort of I fantasize about that, you know, and I think about having little curios like that. This is another fortune telling deck that again, really, really beautiful. I've never connected with this one because it always gave me the most fucking melancholy readings. Like, the ennui in this deck is real. Another French deck, Carte Divinatoire de la Grielle. Remember Christine and Celeste's channel? That's where I saw this. And it's stunning. But so, like, maudlin for me. Like, it was so lugubrious. The readings were, I mean, just the tone of the deck to me feels... So I would read with this deck and just feel so depressed afterwards. Like, I got interesting readings, but woof. Grim. So I don't use it. And that's, you know, it's funny. I don't really get, like, different feelings from readings with tarot, but with these kinds of decks, I can. Not so much with, like, the straight up, like, Sibylla style shit, but, like, the more, like, whoa, the more, why did I do that? No, that was right. Yeah. The more sort of artistic, like maybe even covertly esoteric. This did that, and it was like, okay, yeah, all right. Pretty. Very pretty. Not for me. The Prager Tarot is another sort of tarot oracle hybrid. It's not really a tarot, in the sense of a tarot deck, but it is a tarot in the sense of it being called a tarot deck. And it's cool. I don't have a lot to say about this one because honestly, I cannot remember much about it. So it is fun to come back and look at these because I would impulse buy them and then never look at them again, because I think for a minute I thought of like creating a fortune telling deck, and I was just sort of looking at a bunch and trying to find like relatively inexpensive ones on eBay. This is tarot, but I think it does not, I think like a PK deck, it doesn't have the full 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I think it goes like 2, 3, 4, ace 2, 3, 4, 5, or something like that. It's weird. Let me see if the book says anything. The deck is collated in the following sequence, beginning with the top card face out. Major Arcana are trump cards numbered 1 through 20. The unnumbered Fool, 21, followed by the minor Arcana or suited cards, Ace, 2, 3, 4, Servant, Knight, Queen, and King. So there's no 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cool. Weird. Kinda. But cool. I mean, again, it's a curio. It's a curiosity. It is a thing of interest. And so is the next one. Coming around the stretch. This is going to be another long video. Hopefully I've gotten the sound issue that I had in the last one taken care of. I had to buy a new mic. This is Zignur Warsog Karten. And I apologize for not having looked that up first. I thought this had an English title, and I did not. It's a Piotnik deck. It's, again, very in that vein of, like, Sibylla Lettermond stuff. So we have Widower, Constancy, Fidelity. These are all Sibylla cards. Message, Unexpected Joy, Visit, Jealousy, Loss. So these are very much like Sibylla, like Kipper. I mean, this gives you a sense, first of all, that the publishing industry has always been sort of cannibalistic. So one group does something and then everyone's got to do it. But also that these are the things that people cared about and still care about. So, you know, it's nice. We have Fiend instead of Enemy. Actually, it's called Enemy in another language. So this is, again, it's a very Sibylla-esque thing. In fact, I'm not seeing much that doesn't exist in Sibylla in one way or another, or that exists in Sibylla that's not here, for example. So, yeah. But these are fun. These are cool. These are, as I keep saying, they're curios. One of the problems, there's a French Sibylla deck, and it has at least one kind of like straight up racist image on it, like not good. So some of these are like interesting curios, but like not, they probably shouldn't be reissued. This one I had high hopes for, and I don't remember why. Again, I haven't looked at it since I got it, and it was kind of a miss. And I think because it was really very, very much just like, here's the thing that happens when like historical decks or whatever become popular, is that companies will then race to kind of tempt you. So this doesn't really have any divinatory clues, but it's an interesting piece of game playing history. It's called Folk Cards of Destiny. So it must have some divinatory, but not enough that I feel like investing time in it. You know what I mean? This has I think it's the German suits. It's hearts, bells, acorns, and leaves. It's quite pretty, but it's a playing card deck. So I feel like this is a thing that like Los Scarabeo kind of gets away with sometimes, and it makes me a little annoyed, but whatever. This is a tarot deck that it's a Fernando Kripa, Itaroki 1978, and I think this was given to me. It's like, again, very cool, very simple to the point of like, again, probably not one that I ever use. But these are the kinds of things I really like. First of all, I like these card stocks that are kind of artistic and untreated and antique. So we're getting, this honestly has big Sesame Street vibes to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, that vibe, but also the style of art too. This is shuffled, so it's possible I have read with this. It seems unlikely, but it may also have come to me that way. It is very cool, and to me, again, it's you don't need, like I've always said, you can read, you don't even need cards to do a reading. You can do a tarot reading without having cards in front of you. I think we like having cards, and we like having cards that are kind of pretty to look at, and so these kinds of decks maybe turn us off a little bit, but not me fully. Did I buy this? I can't remember. It looks used and aged, so I don't think I did. I think this was given to me. But I can't remember. Anyway, it's quite cool. I love what Il Meneghello does or did. I haven't seen what they're up to lately. I know, Osvaldo Menegazzi is, is living a full life. Has lived a full life. I assume he's still living a full life. This was an Oracle deck that I got this year, and it was like a holiday thing that Madame Pimita and another artist put out. And I was really looking forward to it, and then it did a thing that I just sort of really wish people wouldn't do, which is that most of the cards are portrait and some of them are landscape. I know, it just drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. It is a small thing. It still drives me nuts. And so I didn't use it, and I didn't show it off because it was a limited edition anyway. But it's a Christmas-themed sort of Yuletide vintage postcard, which is another great way, I think, of making a deck. You know what I mean? Taking vintage art and working with it. One thing that tends to happen when we do this is we wind up with only white people because there's the expectation that art historically only showed white people, which is, of course, not true. And I think Carrie Paris, in the Ancestral Tarot, sort of reminded us of that. And, she used crowdsourcing. And I know there are people who felt like that deck wasn't good enough, and fair. But it's also one of the few decks that uses historical imagery, existing imagery, that does have people of global majority in it at all, and a fair number of them. So, it's a tough one. So I thought this was clever and fun, and I honestly bought it to show you and do some video readings with, but I honestly was so irritated by it's such a thing, and I could take the cards out, they're not numbered, but I bought all the cards, so I just don't know why it bothers me, but it does. I have other decks that do this, tarot decks too, and it's like the Tejas Tarot. I love the Tejas Tarot, but no. I need the cards to be aspect ratioed all the same. It's just a thing. I'm sorry. I wish I were a better person, but I'm not. Anyway, I do think this is cute. And again, I think these are kinds of things that you can do when you're learning or if you're bored or feeling stumped. One last Oracle, one last Tarot. This is the Beline Oracle. And another one I thought I would learn and never did. But I wanted it because it's French, and my ancestry is French. I've showed this before. There are new books. In fact, Maria Alves Hernando has, I think, a book that she released, and kind of an updated Beline deck, which I keep meaning to get. But I do like the original deck, too. This is not to be confused with the Tarot Grand Beline, which I also have and also love. Similar, much larger, the tarot. I almost brought that out, but it's not a curio. I've shown it a lot. It's a deck that I really enjoy and really love, despite its sort of weird esotericism. But it's a fun thing. So one day I'll learn to read this, Beline, potentially. Maybe Maria will do a class and I can do that. So that's the Oracle Beline, and again, not to be confused with the Grand Beline, Tarot Grand Beline. I don't know why I decided to pull this down, other than that it amuses me and I don't see it much. It's the Garden of Lust Eros Tarot by Usi. Oh no, sorry, Garden of Love, not Garden of Lust. Shows you where my mind goes, right? And if you have the Pagan Otherworlds, same cardstock, same size, same everything, except for these. I mean, they're erotic images, so spoiler, warning, ting ting ting. There's dicks and vaginas and titties about to be shown. Please, I hope you don't die. People do have genitalia. and they do show up in these cards. I've never used this for a client, but I couldn't resist it. I don't think I did that last time. This is going to be a hard video to edit. Anyway, I was just sort of rhapsodizing about this silly erotic deck and talking about that I'm not a slut, given how much I talk about sex on this channel. You'd think I was. But I don't slut shame. I'm just using that word because of the Golden Girls. I fully support your sex-positive lifestyle, and if I hadn't been raised Catholic, I probably would have one myself. So anyway, I had to pull this out because I don't really use it. I never use it. Like, I'm never gonna, like, there are friends I would use this for, but there's not like, oh gee, I'm gonna do like an erotic tarot card reading for you. Although, that might be a fun thing to try. This has the moon phases too. As the I forgot the Celtic Otherworlds does, but anywho, that is these little Curios. Something to watch, something to look at, something to play with. So I hope that was fun. I hope it was interesting. I hope it was cool. And I hope you take care. Okay? Be well, be good, get distractions where you can, and talk to you soon. Bye.